I was tagged in a video about guns in Switzerland, and yeah, that's completely right. Switzerland has a lot of guns and very little gun violence. So, what are we doing differently from the United States? This may have to be a series. Number one, because we have to be pragmatic on this, we are very pragmatic in Switzerland. Number one, the ammo is usually not in the same home where the gun is. This massively decreases accidents, and not just accidents, but also the possibility of impulsive acts. The thing with impulsive acts is they are, well, impulsive. Sometimes even a small hurdle that you need to cross, that you need to switch on your conscious intellectual mind to overcome, will let the impulse pass. This is also true for self-harm, by the way. I once had a fascinating discussion with a psychiatrist who had worked at the World Health Organization and who had been given a seemingly impossible task that he had, at which he had impressively succeeded. So the task was as follows. He had to lower the suicide rate in a region of the world where there was a high rate and where there was very little access to mental health care. So he started going to work looking at where the causes of the problem actually were. And what he found out was that in that region of the world, people who ended up dying by their own hand were mostly small independent farmers who became massively indebted due to the exploitative practices of agricultural businesses and big industries. And at some point, they saw no other way out but by their own death. And the way in which they took their own lives was usually to drink the pesticides. Awful. He did not have a budget that was enough to give them access to mental health care. You may also have noticed that in that situation, mental health care may not have been the most appropriate solution to the problem. Now, of course, the most appropriate solution to the problem would have been to change the entire regulatory structure and stop big agribusiness from being able to exploit these farmers. But he didn't have the power to do that either. So what did he do instead? He set up a system where the pesticides would henceforth be stored in the village, in one place for the whole village, in a metal cupboard that was locked, and where the key was attached to a string on the door of the cupboard itself. So the pesticides were accessible. It's not that you couldn't use the pesticides on your crops, but you had to go to the place, you had to write. There was also a notebook and a pencil attached to the cupboard door. You had to write down your name, the date, and how much of the pesticides you had taken for your crops. And then you had to take them, use them, bring them back. And there was a small intervention. There was a small thing you had to do. You couldn't just be sitting on your farm with the pesticides on hand. You had to go do something that required a little bit of thinking. The bar was really low. The hurdle was really low, but the hurdle was now there. And deaths went down something like 90%. So yeah, in Switzerland, having the ammo somewhere else, even though you have the ammo accessible, you have to go do something that requires your intellectual thinking to be switched on. And so impulsive acts are lower. We do have gun deaths. It's not that we don't have them at all, but nothing like what the US is having to go through. Yeah.